This particular assignment hearing is to give the public the opportunity to know that we have 4 schools in the Compton Unified School District that had missed assignment for the 2011-12 school year. It has to do with special day teachers assigned to this school and the students who were involved in the classroom. So this is for us to be able to ask for a waiver from the State Department of Education. We have to bring this to the attention of the public and see if they have any comments before we turn in the waiver.
Yes. Yes.
I was wondering.
Are these out here? Oh boy, you know what? How much money I can steal using that?
How much?
60%.
For the 4 schools on a yearly basis, it's about 1.3 million.
Yeah, man.
And because
I know that why inside now, why it's up. Who wrote it?
Principal at the different school sites or some of the
Submitting the waiver is the district's responsibility, but the activities happened at the different schools due to the misassignment of teachers and the students who was placed in their classroom.
So is there going to be any disciplinary action in regards to this? I mean, this may cause neglect and not having disciplinary action. To me, I mean, if I was responsible at my job, and my job was on the verge of losing millions of dollars, I wouldn't have to worry about going to work tomorrow because I wouldn't have a job.
Yes.
I think you're asking the wrong person about discipline.
Well,
you know, my concern is that we depend on the educational leaders at each school to follow or adhere to the specific criteria for each grant. And evidently, we have some, as policymakers, concerns as to the leadership at those schools where those areas occur. So I'm looking forward to any backup information that we will possibly receive as a result of Mr. Superintendent's analysis.
I think that there's a misalignment here. I don't believe that the gentleman, with all due respect, has clearly set the contextual stage as it relates to what is actually going on here. There should be some groundwork laid before the stepping before the board and simply opening up a hearing and giving a sentence. So I'm going to ask the gentleman, Mr. President, what is going on here? Because what Mr. Reed is talking about and what Mr. Fisher is talking about, perhaps you can bring a greater level of clarity because there's actually something going on here.
Oh, yeah, my God.
I'm going to discuss it, but I want the gentleman to build us up, build a scenario, lay the foundation, so that everyone will understand what is actually transpiring here.
Okay, basically, these assignments at school sites are one of the issues that can cause a free school to lose their funding. There are other issues that are involved, which is class size numbers for each of those schools. We have teacher qualifications to be at that school. So some of the issues that we deal with in my office, we deal with the numbers. All those issues are taken care of for 11-12 school years. But there is a communication between the HR department and the county about these 4 teachers and the misassignment at those school sites. So that communication was going back and forth until the end of the school year. If we had done the necessary things and corrected this before the end of school year of 11-12, we wouldn't have that situation. Last year we had 10-11 school year, we had one misassignment, of which I came back from the county and went to HR department. We corrected it and they wrote a letter, a certification letter, which I took back to the county, and it was corrected the last day of school. So I feel somebody dropped the ball somewhere, that this information was not communicated to the appropriate authorities. If we had known this in time, these issues would be cleared before the end of school year. But it's past the school year before we received the letter that this situation has occurred. So the only thing left for us to do is to bring it to ask for a waiver so that it wouldn't impact those schools for the remaining years of the school year program.
Gotcha. So please describe, if you will, what classification of student are we referencing?
This has to do with special ed.
Okay, thank you. And I thought that's where you were going. So now that we've set the stage, is the sole responsibility placed upon the principal or the school site administrator in question? Where did the ball drop?
It has to be between the HR and the school site and the special ed department. So between those three, we should have been able to correct those issues before it came up.
So is this a compliance issue?
Yes, it is. As far as QIA is concerned, it's a compliance issue.
And so who manages, and I need the audience to answer. I know what I'm asking. I know what I'm asking. I know what I'm doing. Who manages compliance with respect to QEIA?
With respect to QIA, there are the 4 areas that I manage. And the only area that I don't manage is this area of misassignment and vacancy. And that's handled by HR and the appropriate principals who handle the schools.
Perhaps I can provide some clarification.
Thank you, Mr. Superintendent.
The misassignment would have been communicated to Human Resources via the Los Angeles County Office of Education. The Williams report would have triggered the misassignments, and based upon that, would have provided a timeline in which those misassignments should have been corrected. That information then should have been distributed, and I will assume was distributed to the Special Education Department as well.
So, Mr. Superintendent, it's safe to assume, actually, I wouldn't say assumption, it is safe to state within a 4-wheel car, all four of the wheels were misaligned.
Well, certainly there were some issues that arose. The Williams misassignment report should have triggered the action to correct the misassignments. In this particular situation, you had individual students that were mild to moderate and moderate to severe that were mixed together, which should not have occurred, and that's what triggered the misassignment. So the misassignment was not for a lack of the teacher having, highly qualified status. The misassignment occurred because specific students were commingled, if you will, with other students that they should not.
So, Mr. Superintendent, so now we can check the teacher off the list of being culpable. So let's check the janitor off, as well as the school secretary, as well as the cafeteria staff. We're going to check all 4 of those individuals off, and we'll assume that they're not culpable. Now, Mr. Superintendent, who would have the responsibility of ensuring compliance within this respect when students are placed, special education students are placed in the school site?
It's really a double-edged question, because the misassignment piece technically is handled through the Human Resources Department. So the Human Resources receives information. They are the direct link between the county as it pertains to Williams compliance monitoring related to assignments. And once that information comes forward to that individual's attention, he or she would then farm that information out to the appropriate department, and also should be farming it out to the site administrator at the school site.
Okay, Madam President, last question, Mr. Superintendent. How did the students find themselves in the classroom initially? we didn't have a proper strategy in place to ensure that the students were properly placed. I'm just trying to get to the genesis. I understand that the HR piece is more along the middle or perhaps on the other end, but how could we mix students when that's not an HR function?
Shouldn't be occurring. Technically, the IEP or the information that's presented to the school site at that particular time, or the enrollment center, if you will, should have designated the student's disability, if you will.
Okay, so Mr. Superintendent, so you just said the IEP would have provided ample amount of information to ensure the student was placed in the appropriate classroom environment.
Should have.
Okay, so I just want to make clear, because these microphones are oftentimes low, and I want to make certain that all of this began at the IEP stage. So, Mr. Superintendent, will we look at corrective actions and/or, sorry, sir, let me just step back. How much money are we looking to lose?
Significant amount of possible loss of all the funding associated with all the square schools.
So, Mr. Superintendent, you are sitting here and you're telling the 7-member board, as well as the Compton community, that somebody's error, now back to Mr. Fisher's point, Ms. Arita's point, somebody's error will cause us to lose a significant amount of money.
Could, if the district were not to approve the waiver tonight, and assuming that the district approved it, if the State Department of Education were not to approve the waiver.
So, Mr. Superintendent, what you're doing is you're pretty much cleaning up somebody's mess. We're pretty much going to clean up the staff person's mess. Pretty much. One could then assume that perhaps had they not made the mess, if they knew what they were doing, and there wasn't gross negligence or severe incompetence, then perhaps we would not be at this stage where you have 4 schools requiring a waiver. Is that a safe assumption, Mr. Superintendent? Perhaps not in those words, but of course what you provided. In your own words.
This is an issue that we need to take an action to clean up.
So, Mr. Superintendent, can we then assume that somebody will be held accountable, responsible, and liable?
Since we're moving into the area of discipline, we're not going to conduct that in an open session.
Thank you, Mr. Superintendent, for putting on your HR hat and providing a sense of clarity. Madam President, thank you.
All right, thank you. All right. I agree with some of this. But when you said the mess and who's responsible, I'm going to be honest in my heart. I think the board is. So we need to quit voting on recommendations of the district and look into the situation more clearly than what we do. Because a lot of stuff wouldn't happen if they wasn't told to go forward. Madam Chair. I have a concern, Mr. Marty, that I can notice that this has to do with special ed. And I'm sitting here and I'm listening, so if this really has to do with special ed, I'm wondering why people are not directing some of these persons to the person that's on special ed.
It's really, the misassignments happen to be related to special education assignments, but it really doesn't have to do with special ed. I've tried to make it very clear that this issue, in terms of the misassignment, is first brought to the attention of human resources. Okay? So it's a human resources issue that triggers our ability to correct a misassignment. Okay? And if we don't correct it at that point in time, then it continues to roll downhill to another department. Now, having said that, we also have a responsibility to properly place individuals to begin with. Now, sometimes we're hampered by that ability in terms of the late arrival of transcripts, if you will, student records. And if you're not receiving that information at the point of enrollment, and you're going off the information that a parent may be presenting to you at that point in time, you may make the wrong decision. But, having said that, once we were notified, all of us had a responsibility to correct the placement.
Okay.
Madam President, yes.
Yes.
Mr. Superintendent, I truly respect you as a consummate professional in the field, and most certainly believe that you bring a level of professional acumen to that seat, which has been vacant or void for such a long time. However, I just want to challenge this assertion. Let's get back to the placement of the students. The placement of the student, wouldn't this be the initial trigger, if you will? Had the student been properly placed, would we be engaging in this discussion?
No, we would not.
Okay, so while everyone shares responsibility, one could leave this meeting tonight knowing that have we properly placed the students, and Ms. Thomas is right, the board is 100% responsible, which is why I challenged certain appointments and voted no on certain appointments. And we're going to get down to an item toward the bottom of the agenda, where another example as to why I voted no on a certain appointment. But we can pass the blame all the way around. But we're talking about student placement. They didn't say teacher placement, or janitor placement, or school secretary placement. It's student placement. And so, to be very honest, I don't really want to give them anybody, because that's the problem. Everybody gets out and continuously works to cover their own posterior. But the fact of the matter is, we're going to lose, or we have a potential of losing funding. And Mr. Superintendent, before you got here, before you arrived, we lost funding. So this is nothing new. We just seem to be... Hello, Ms. Zaria? And I'm extremely upset about this. Because we're going to have to make a significant change, Mr. Broderick. This cannot go on. And it's not just this department, it's not just this organization, it's not just HR, it's not just student nutrition. It seems as though individuals just forget to check the box. And the students suffer.
Okay. Any further questions, concerns? Okay. You've been standing there. Is there something else you want to add? Okay. Thank you for being patient.
Even you laughed at this.
Okay. Any comments or questions?
I see you being stoic.
You're very patient.
My name?
Yes.
My name is Diana Padilla, 15124 South Crazy Avenue. It's just, to me, it's just ridiculous. A waiver? Come on. You guys are questioning the special ed department. Why don't we have our special ed senior director answer all of these ridiculous questions about her not placing the students properly, about teachers' misassignments? You guys know about all of this. This has been told to you several times and you guys do nothing. So if you lose the CUIA funding, great, lose it. That will be a lesson for all of us.
Second.
Whoa.
Okay, all right.
That's right.
Happily second that we close the public hearing. The time noted is 7:55 p.m. All those in favor? Those opposed? Motion is carried, and we are at our information item.